Hi, you guys. It's Natalie here. Only One United. We're back again. I'm here with Ryan, but obviously he goes by RC, and we're just here to. Well, I'll tell you all the truth. It was a Sunderland preview. It will still be a Sunderland preview. Was hopeful to have a Sunderland fan on, but I've not heard from him. So it's just me and Ryan basically going to talk about it. There's a lot to talk about, though, definitely. I think from Reading to Mark's press conference to obviously the FA Cup is restarting, and what do we see as that? Obviously, Sporting Up Sports Face, nice win by the Devs today. Yes, a 5-1 win. I was there. I can discuss it. I can discuss sort of where do we see these Devs, because I think a lot of people now know about Kira Barry and Alicia Hearn, and they are absolutely, just delightful. So, what does it mean now? We're on track to retain our FA Cup for the young ones. Will the first team go on and do the same? That's what we want. Obviously, we want a lot of them girls in the first team. How you, Vicky? You okay? Can talk about the press conference. And then, do you believe it'd be our strongest team? We'll get into that. But Ryan, I just want to say welcome, your show debut, and just talk to us about Man United, how you became a fan, and why Man United Women, etc.
So my dad and quite a few. I have family all over the place, but I'm in the southwest of England, but quite a lot of my family are based in Birmingham and Manchester. And my dad and all of his brothers have been big United fans, and at least in my dad's head, it was any child of mine will be a United fan. And it rubbed off on me. I played a bit of football when I was little. As I got a bit older, just wasn't feeling it as much. Didn't feel as welcome. Wasn't enjoying it. Kind of took a step back. It didn't even really engage in anything football at all. And then probably around 2018, I watched the England men in Russia, and from there I just started, wanted to check in. Rashford, how's he doing? How's United doing? And we weren't doing very well. But in terms of that, it transitioned towards seeing a few YouTube videos, Casey Stoney's interview, and how they've created this women's team. And so I was catching a few videos on the championship, seeing some big score lines and how they're pushing towards the top women's league. And I didn't even know we had a women's league. It wasn't promoted. It was, the people around me, they talk about the Premier League all the time, but there wasn't really anyone around me. There wasn't many women in my life that loved football and was passionate about football, and there wasn't really anyone telling me that women can play too, and there's pathways for them too. So I watched the first game live game on television. It was at the Etihad. We lost 1-0, but to see the way they played, I can't explain it. It just from there became, I almost want to call it an addiction. I can't miss a game now.
Yeah, 100%. I was the same, and Vic's just saying Rashford just scored. So yeah, he's one of our own.
I was wondering what the shouting was downstairs.
But no, I was the same. I was like, I didn't really know about women's football. Didn't even know we had a women's team. Obviously, it wasn't, like you say, well promoted. It's sort of never been well promoted until really now. I think this is the best it's ever been promoted, regardless of Man United, just the whole thing. And obviously, the girls winning the Euros obviously helped that.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, Aoife Mannion's just done a podcast and talking about how passionate we are, because that's what I always believe. I feel like it should be the same passion. It's I love football. I don't just, go to the women and sit in silence, or go to the men and shout my head off. No, shout your head off at both, because, it's Man United who I love. And like I was like you, I didn't really watch women's football until we came involved, and we to me is Man United. But Ryan, I just want to get into it, I suppose, just straight into it, just because I know you've done a few notes. I haven't really done notes, but I don't do notes. I just go with the flow. But no, I want to talk definitely about the Reading game, and then obviously the press conference that's been had today. I was at the Reading game. It was not the best game. I was fuming at the end. Even when we scored, I was still angry because for me, and people might say, well, why are you angry? We've just won. But that was one of the worst performances I've seen from Man United Women. I've been watching them since 2018. The only performance I can think is worse is when under Casey went to Brighton. It's just like sometimes we go through spurts and we sort of play really well or play really badly, and that was just a play really badly time. And I think what annoyed me the most about that, it wasn't that they were playing badly. I mean, I love Honor. I think she was playing badly. Tooney, she was playing badly. There's only probably Mary and Maya, really, that you could say was looking good. And obviously, that's okay. Not everyone has a good game. And obviously, they all had bad game together. And that's still okay. What annoyed me is that first half, it was 0-0. And, you know, we had missed the penalty, so you thought, oh, God, here we go. It's going to be a spiral. Make a change. Make a change. Come on. This is it. This is the first time we're going to see an early change. And he didn't. And it was 60th minute. And then he made one in the 80th minute. And then, like you say, you know, Vix is saying here, it's a relief. Yeah, of course it was a relief. But I just felt like it was avoidable in that he could have made changes earlier because that's what we're told. We wanted depth. He wanted depth to be able to change things. And for me, I didn't see him change much. It was just the same. And it's just because Rachel even said it herself, pick it up and shoot. And that's all she did. And it's not like there was any change in the way we wanted to play, you know, the way we were attacking them. Even when Martha Thomas came on, I thought she did really well, like the last few times she's come on, but she's come in and we've been winning and it's been like that thing. So there's no like change, you know, like in, all right, so we're going it like this. Let's change our formation. Let's change this. Let's do that. It was just the same. It was just so frustrating. And I'm sorry I'm talking a lot, but what do you think? And guys, you know, get in a comment. What do you think?
No, I feel like you've summed up a lot of what I feel a lot of fans would have felt in like afterwards. I actually, when I was doing my notes, I was writing. I decided to go a negative side and a positive side, just to kind of, you know, get my feelings down on what was positive about the performance in the game and what was negative. And I was finding it so easy to write down the negatives, and I found a lot less positives, which I'd say, especially coming off the back of the Liverpool game. I almost felt like after that performance, it was such a high. It was really the opposite. I almost didn't even want to think of any little negative that we had in that game. But I think the result is a positive. It is a positive because we got the 3 points on a weekend where getting the 3 points meant we would go top of the table because of other games not being played. Man City, obviously, the day before had dropped 2 points, so that was massive for us. If we were given this opportunity, it was whether or not we were going to take it, and to get the 3 points, I think that right in itself is a positive. But I think in terms of the performance, I don't think anyone can say that it was nothing short of a poor performance. I felt the midfield for me was at times it looks a bit uncomfortable anyway, even when we seem to be doing quite well. But this game, it just felt like they felt completely centrally. Even at times, Ella didn't seem like she was comfortable being able to have the ball. She didn't feel like she had enough time, enough space. I thought we really lacked composure in terms of that final pass, and when we had an opportunity to shoot, it felt, especially in that second half, it felt as though we were so panicky about needing these 3 points and what this opportunity can we take this opportunity. It felt as though any time there was a sight of goal, it's shoot first, think later. And when you go on the back of the Liverpool game, it was once we got that first goal at Lee, it felt as though they were just biding their time before they found the right option to score with. And I think what you mentioned about Honor and I even say Hannah too. I think both our fullbacks had a bit of an off performance. Obviously, Honor can get away with having a slight off performance. She's still probably on an off day is one of the best fullbacks in the league. But to kind of see both of them have a bit of an off day, it kind of really reminds us like just how important the fullbacks are in the way that we play. And if they're both having a bit of an off day, it feels as though we struggle a bit more. And you mentioned subs. I just felt that in terms of, we've known that Mark isn't necessarily the most proactive and the most kind of reactionary when it comes to making substitutions. We know this, and especially in games like the Liverpool game, think back to even Reading at Lee, it was kind of like going into that second half, he could do what he wanted. He can take risks with bringing on players or what he sees as risks. You know, he can put Leon on and he's fine with that. He'll take Tooney off. But when it comes to games like this, that's kind of where things weren't working. A lot of things on that pitch in that first half were not working. You go into the second half, you think, okay, maybe something will change or they'll respond. They're not responding. It's still the same kind of like struggles. So you kind of expect him to react to that. And it felt as though he was still, waiting for a certain time to schedule when he's scheduled Martha Thomas to come on. Yeah. And I think that was probably the most disappointing part for me, is that I feel like we've upgraded in terms of our depth. We're in a much stronger position than we were last season. And why in terms of bringing in players, I don't understand why you would bring in certain players and then be almost scared to use them in a game where your starting 11 isn't working.
Yeah, I totally get it. And it adds to the frustration of Mark. And this is people are saying, oh, we're winning, so why are you frustrated? We're doing this, so why are you frustrated? And I think it's not, how can you say, it's not like you say, I was still angry because for me, I want the best. I want them all to, this is what it is. Let's hope we take it as a warning. We can't expect to play like that and win all the time. Completely. And I think it's the fact that he's sort of like, well, we've won, haven't we? And that's what, it's the arrogance of it. And I'm thinking, yeah, we won, but can you not see how bad it was? That's what I don't understand, because everyone around me was saying how bad it was. Everyone on the bottom was saying how bad it was. But then you go and speak to them, oh, well, we won, didn't we? And it's like, yeah, we did, but, and I get it, you shouldn't really, we won, it's positive, that's what you need to take from it, but, people are saying here, the passing control was not good, we looked nervous. Someone else is saying, like, they dominated us, and they did, in my opinion. A lot of chances, bad one, but they outplayed us in midfield, and the midfield was, I love Haley and Zelly, but they were just getting bullied, like the Reading player was pushing them over, and, I don't know, and like I felt like it was coming to Ladd, and then she didn't know where to pass it because there wasn't any, like you said, Tooney was in off, so Leslie was dropping deep. It was just never got into a rhythm, and then, like you say, it was just her picking up the ball, running and shooting, and that's not exactly, I don't know, you know what I mean? It's not exactly the way that you want to win it. You'll take it, of course you will, but a lot of people saying grinding it out. It didn't even seem like a grind it out thing to me. It just seemed like you say, hit and hope, and then eventually we got it. But then, like you say, you're not always going to get that. And yeah, you do need luck. But for me, luck isn't like that. Luck is when you go in 1-0 at the Etihad and they hit the ball. That's luck. You know what I mean? That just you need. For me, I was listening to a tiny pod. And it was Aoife, and it was saying about standards, and the fans always come back and set the standards, and that was below our standards. That's all I can say. It was below our standards. And so I'm just going to come on to the point where you dropped me a message about it, and he's come out today, and I'm guessing because a lot of people came out afterwards and says, like you say, this isn't good enough. That was poor. Someone saying I've always questioned his decisions in the final third of games. Like you say, you make the sub, in my opinion, at half time, or at least 50th minute. Not why wait until the 60th minute. That, for me, it's just stupid. But anyway, he's obviously heard all the frustration. And then he's come out today, and whether it's Asif or Graham or whatever, but someone's questioned him in that they've said, what's going on? Why are you not rotating? Did you need to rotate earlier? And he's come out and sort of said, let me find it. He said he will not necessarily rotate the team on Sunday. So what he said is, you have to fight to get in this team. There's no gimmies. We don't have a 60-game season. For us, it's about creating competition. The players are fresh. It's not like they are burnt out. And what I'll say is, the end of last season, he made a big deal about players being burnt out. Martin Hose in an interview and said that players were burnt out. So that's why we've added this depth. So it's like we're not learning. You said the players are not burnt out, but then you said at the end of last season they were burnt out. Yet you're not making any changes. So what's, I suppose, you, Ryan, and guys, get in your comments. When you hear him say stuff like that, the players, we're not going to give chances. He said something last week about it'll have to be an injury before someone gets in. It's just, as a player, I would just think, why am I even here? Especially those new ones, you think, what? What are you talking about? So just your opinions, Ryan, like, when you hear that kind of things and these things that he's saying, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think the reason that I sent you that in particular is the thing that my thing with Mark is I don't necessarily, I know some people very much view themselves as like they're Mark out, or, they're Mark in. I guess the way that I view it is that he's come in and there have been performances that I have felt like they were very good, and almost would we have been able to do that under Casey? Sometimes they can consistent like that. He's raising the point. He's very defensive, but what I find quite interesting is that sometimes we look good defensively, but we're actually scoring more goals, or at least we're being more clinical, right? So some people would say we're actually not creating more chances than we did under Casey. We're just being more clinical. But the way that I view it is that I do think he's done some positive things, and I think every time he comes out and says something, he's either saying something that I'm like, this is exactly what I want to hear, or he says something that completely shocks me and to me makes no sense at all. And for me, the burnt out comment was the worst part of what I saw there, because especially every one of us that watched that Reading game, whether it was live or it was on the FA Player, could clearly see that certain individuals that were playing, pretty much played either that entire game or most of it. Quite a few of them looked absolutely knackered. Ella, for me, I felt, especially in the second half, didn't really see her. I know some people will say she played the ball out and Rachel got there, but for me, of course she's got quality she's got one pass in her that completely changes the game. We know that she's got that quality, but it's not even necessarily just about that, like the quality of what she can produce if we keep her on. It's if we're constantly playing her 90 minutes, when she burns out completely, is that going to lead to an injury? Is she then going to be out for a long period of time? And especially we talked about, you mentioned last season and how he talked about, the burnout and how that affected us. He's now had a summer win. He had winter, then he's now had a summer window. Now he's had a winter window again. And from what I'm gathering is that he's bringing in these players where we're strengthening in key areas, but in terms of the league, he doesn't want to use players unless he's forced to, unless there's an injury, and he's almost viewing it in that regard. And I understand consistency. Serena did it at the Euros, worked out quite well. But I think the difference is that she wasn't afraid to, okay, this player's not performing, they're off. Ellen White's done a job, but she's not in it anymore. I'm giving Alessia a chance. And I think, especially taking into consideration that, last season, some of the players were playing in less international games. For me, Ella and Alessia, and obviously Mary as well, are going to probably be playing a lot of games for England. We've got an international window coming up. When don't we have an international window coming up? And they're going to likely play a lot of minutes. It seems as though Ella, in particular, at times will be played the entire 90 minutes. You'll see other people come off, But it seems as though Serena, if Ella's playing, she likes to keep her on there. She'll put her deeper. She'll just keep her in that midfield. So for me, it's easy to say that, you know, they haven't burnt out yet. But what we saw on Sunday, and knowing that there are more games to play, if this upcoming game we win against Sunderland, we'll go deeper into the cup. Quite a lot of our players are internationals, even players that he's brought in that we don't see much of, like Adriana, who will travel as well as play games. She'll travel as well. So for me, in terms of not worrying about burnout, I just found that statement to be quite harsh, actually, because we're on reflection, especially last Sunday, there were certain players there that I felt looked like they could use a rest. And it's not as if we're so light in those positions that we have nobody but maybe an under-21s player to throw in. We have players in those positions. And for me, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to
You
me.
hit the nail on the head, because he's saying it's not a 60 whatever. But at the end of the day, when you do actually factor in Arnold Clark Cup, all the friendly that's going to play, they've already played the Euros, they go into the World Cup. It is actually then a 60. It does turn into a 60, you know, playing about 60 games in a year. And then, like we know, with ACLs, women are more likely to pick them up, you know, more likely to pick up an injury. It's the travel, like you said, Adriana. Even Kari's never played her in the league, but she's likely to, you know, goes away to France. I'm sure Estelle will go away to France, Lisa to Norway. You know, you're bringing these Jade again back to Canada. So for us, Manchester United, yeah, we don't play, you know, as many games as the men, but in a whole, when you factor in the, like, yeah, that's it's really great points that you're raising, and something that we need to be on, because yeah, it is a 60 game lead, because they've played all that Euros. They're going to play this Arnold Clark thing. Like you say, Tooney never gets a rest from England anyway. So when is her rest going to come? And people are like, they don't need rest. They just had a break. But they had a break 2 weeks and then we're back training, and then went to Malta. And then I look at someone like Honor. She played the full 90 minutes in Malta, you know, and then we wonder why she's not maybe at a peak. It just, I don't know. I mean, someone said something, Ken, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah.
And it is like this. What's the point of buying them in if you hardly lose them? Leon to Cara, Clinton's gone on loan, he means.
Yeah.
But he's obviously said farmed out. But no, and then we've just brought in, you know, we've let Lucy Stan go. We've brought in Jade, which we did need a fullback, I'm not going to lie. But we've brought in Estelle, he says he's going to play her in midfield. And then obviously he's brought in Lisa, and she's a midfielder. And he's given her a 3-year contract. But then people are sort of, I've seen a big debate. And for me, I don't know. I mean, yes, she is going to want to play. But, I mean, what do you think about those signings? Because I do agree with what Ken's saying. He's brought signings in already and he's not even using them. So it is a bit, you know, Lisa was saying, am I going to play? Do I even want to go? And that's where I'm worried. Someone like Lisa, maybe, you know, she was at Brun. I'm not, no disrespect to them, but it's not like, but if you're, say, then wanting to recruit someone from, I don't know, Leon, Barcelona, you know, are these players, unless they're like, probably like Estelle, not, you know, we want the best. We want the best of the best. And if they're seeing this and the way that he's treating people and the way that it's sort of like favourite, this one plays, that one, you know, how are we going to be able to attract someone like Sandy Baltimore? You know, I look at her, she would make a massive difference. But she might look at him and think, well, look at my mate, Asatu. Look at my mate Estelle, they've not got minutes. You know, why am I going to come there? You know, what do you think?
No, I completely see where you're saying. Even if, like, let's say we bring in Baltimore, and then he decides that actually Baltimore will always be our left winger, and therefore Galton doesn't start. Galton gets no minutes. Why would? Of course, I believe Galton loves the club, but why would you want to stay? You know, of course, you know, but there's a lot of fixation on Galton doesn't play for England. So like, oh, maybe why would she? She doesn't need to get into England. She doesn't want to go. So it doesn't matter. She wants to play. You can see actually when the more consistently Leah plays, you start to see, she starts a bit slow at times, and then you just start to see these consistent, like sneaky, consistent performances where you've realized actually for 4 games in a row now she scored. Like she's very good at going under the radar. People really don't see how consistent she actually, like, she gets to this level, and then people are surprised, oh wait a minute, she looked really good in that game. Well, actually she's been doing that for a while now. So if we bring in a left winger or any type of winger, and he decides this is my left winger from now on, how is Galton gonna feel, knowing that essentially a player has to be injured, at least suggested by some of the comments that's been said, that someone's going to have to essentially get injured for her to get any minutes in the league. I think out of the for me, the free signings, I think Jade is the one that I'd argue makes the most it ticks the most boxes in terms of the fact that she's a young player. We've been criticizing, maybe we've been recruiting almost so much experience. What about bringing in younger players that can potentially, like Honor, have a window where we develop them and we see them grow and become consistent starters in a team for years, and not have to worry about them getting older. She's got quality. She's got good experience, international level. She's even been part of that Olympic winning squad. So we know that she's been in and around an environment that has led to winning. So I think she's the one that makes the most sense to me in terms of the box ticking. That Lisa isn't a player that I would in any stretch say I don't want this player. But in terms of, I think that's the one that I'm the most interested to see how it plays out, especially considering the kind of what was being said about, is she actually, like, she was coming, but is she coming now? Is she concerned? We obviously know I forget the name of the Norway manager, but she that's the one. She obviously had mentioned to. What I found was interesting is almost she kind of called out both our players, almost called out our club in a way, to almost be like they're not playing at this club. They're like, if they want a spot, they need to go somewhere. And it doesn't look as though at the moment that we're going to lose our Norway players. But just in terms of that, and the kind of, is she going to come? Is she concerned about playing time? I think, and the way that we have seen Mark throughout the season, especially in the midfield, not even want to make a sub. Like Jade Moore can't get in at all, even when our midfield's looking a bit tired. And you could maybe go, we're in a good position, we're up 4-0, we've got 20 minutes to go, let's give Zell a bit of a rest, or let's give Haley a bit of a rest. He doesn't seem to want to touch that midfield at all. So, and then considering the comments that have been said today, I think what I'm trying to find positive out of is listening to what Lisa was saying. She has Vilda and Thor here. I think that's going to make the transition to England a lot easier for her. And I think, considering she was saying that at least from what she said in the interview, she said she'd heard good things from both of them about the club. So for me, that is a good sign. That's a positive sign. I think in terms of, can she challenge for a starting place in the league? I think she can. I obviously want to see more of her. I think she's come because she thinks she can.
Yeah.
And I don't believe she would have come if she didn't back herself.
Yeah.
But obviously now, it's almost the comments that have been made in this press conference have confused me even more than I already kind of was about this signing. It feels a little more odd now, because he's saying he likes we know he likes a consistent team, but especially what he's come out with, it's like, is Lisa going to go in straight away and Haley's not going to get a game, or is it the other way around? And to me, that makes no sense. I feel like you can have both these players so that we avoid the burnout of last season.
Yeah. I mean, he did say, and I don't mind this, I know a lot of people didn't like it with Jackie, didn't like it with Leslie, but he likes to build people in. So when they got injured, he likes to build them back in slowly. And I feel like, especially with Jade, she has an injury, so we know that, like, that's going to happen. But he did say 5 to 6 weeks to Lisa to get up to the speed. And I get it. I don't mind that, because at Bron, she was just doing pre-season, so their season has finished. She's on the rest. So yeah, of course, we're in the middle of our season. It is going to take her through a while. You know, if that's 4 or 5, okay. But then, I mean, people are saying things here. For me, I'm with Sandy Devil. Sorry if I said it wrong. Sandy Devil. She's been given a 3.5-year contract. I am very in thing. You know, it's a big investment. I mean, we do know we got 100 grand for Jackie, but they've they've taken all that money and then put it into Lisa. So she is sort of that, how can you say, statement signing, the one that they're really looking at. I've seen something, I'm just going to touch on what Anton said here. I'm not ignoring everyone else, but they're probably more aggressive in recruitment. And what I've seen just recently, as we've been speaking, I'm always across things, you see, all platforms. I've seen something come up on my thing, and it's a job alert. And it's saying Manchester United Women seeks a player recruitment lead. Women's with experience in developing recruitment strategies, experience in working in a professional football club, excellent competence in using IT and scouting software. For me, that is, I don't know what you feel about that. That's just a new thing that I've seen, and it's an advert that's come out. For me, that's massive. For me, I don't know if that's a move away from that, because I think, people saying, hey, can't keep the established players, this and that. And, like we're saying about the 10 that have come in and only 2 for me, I think that's a sort of, them going towards that is sort of like, you do what we say, we're bringing in the players, you just sort of, I'm not saying like you won't have a say, but it just, like you're saying, we're saying it's strange that you're bringing in players and then you never want to use them. So I don't know if it's a look beyond Mark, or I don't just, you've heard that they're doing that. What do you think that spells, that signals, I suppose? I mean, Vix has said it's a big one.
I guess in terms of, we've obviously brought in Polly, and I think the thing in terms of United and what we've known about United for quite a while now under current ownership and the kind of the strategies that they use is that they're a club that can get things done, but often what other clubs can do in the span of, let's say, 3 to 6 months, we tend to take 12 months, 12 to 18. So like in terms of like even just looking for a manager when Casey left, there was all this talk about, what Polly has been brought in to do for quite a while before we ended up bringing Polly in. So it sounds very positive and definitely something to be optimistic about. It would be it for me. There's nothing more important than knowing what you can do and what you can't do, and being willing to know that the things that you're not as strong at, you can bring in people that can't do your role, but they can do that one thing you can't do better. It's their bread and butter. They can do it without, they know the right strategies and things like that. So I think bringing in more people, especially in certain roles that's their particular role, they don't have to worry about anything else, and it's something that they're specifically good at. I think that's nothing but positive. I think this is something that maybe should have happened earlier, but as we know with the club, it's probably something that they have been thinking about for a while, and we're starting to see this might even, you never know, this could take a while to even then get someone in. Now they're advertising it now, but they were advertising Polly's job before she kind of got brought in. So but obviously positive steps. Let's just hopefully it won't take too long.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, and maybe Vix is saying recruitment by committee, but I just feel like it's maybe even not that, because I've always thought on the men's side, when you see all this, and there's John Merton, there's this one, there's that one, there's Matt Judge, I know these people have gone, but there was about 20 people, if you see the structure. And maybe that's too much, maybe that's too little, maybe that's just right. But then on the women's side, it was used to be Steve DeVille or just Polly. And now I think, she needs someone else, It's not just Polly and the manager. No, we need recruitment. We need this, we need that. We need maybe even a whole bigger, so you know what, well, we do need a whole bigger social media, we do all these things, but apparently they're bringing that in, and like you say, it is positive because I feel like it's a change, and they're either wanting to change or forced to change. Who cares? It's happening. The change is happening. Vicky's saying Polly seems to be driving the change for the better. Yeah, she's doing good. Polly to do the recruitment. Who knows? Because for me, I don't know what you feel, Ryan, but it feels better recruitment. I feel more happy about this January recruitment. I know it's only 3, and I know summer is longer, and I know, but I just feel like these players are maybe of a higher caliber. I don't know what you think. I just feel a bit happier about it. Or what do you think? I mean, I think Mayer's still great and all that, but
what I'm mixed about is that I completely agree with you in terms of what you just said. I do agree with you on. I feel like I've started that and that I don't actually agree with you. I do. I think I never necessarily had a major problem with some of the recruitment we've done since we've come to the WSL. Even obviously, I don't know how much of it was on Stoney when she created the team and decided on what personnel to bring in. But kind of since we've got to WSL1, there has been a lot of recruitment that I actually think has been pretty I think our recruitment has been pretty decent. I think what was harder was it was quite quickly obvious, especially even in that first season that ended due to the pandemic, that the ambition is Champions League. It's competing for league titles, and I'd say our recruitment was like head and shoulders above the rest. And I don't feel like, looking at the league standards, it doesn't lie. We've been better since we've come in. We've been clearly better than pretty much all the other teams in the league in terms of the players that we have, the quality that they have. We're leaps and bounds in many ways than some of them. But it was that next step of City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and of course, to some extent, you could say that Champions League could be like a factor in that. But I always felt like some of the recruitment was good, but almost a bit safe or a bit, especially kind of one league, like very centered around English talent at times. Obviously, we've had a couple that are just outstanding. I mean, Honor is probably like that big kind of whoever found this player like is legendary. But I just feel like we've always had decent recruitment, but there's within that, I think what has been different summer and now this window is it feels as though there is more of a vision in place for me. It feels like they're not just going for like necessarily names, or they're not just going for players that we like many of us have seen. It seems as though in terms of picking up Lisa, and even I'd say even Jade, I'd say to some extent you can say that they're established players, but I just feel as though that as like Jade is a player that we needed, and I feel like a couple of seasons ago it felt like sometimes you were seeing certain signings and thinking, okay, but why do we need another midfielder? We've actually got a lot of midfielders, but we've only got 2 wingers. So like, where are the wingers? Why we're bringing in how many midfielders? Where are the wingers? I feel like this time around, especially from the summer, but even now, I feel the January window last year wasn't so bad come the end, but I feel like this year it just feels more, not even necessarily that the names are bigger, or the quality is much better, but it just feels like there is much more of a strategy in why we're bringing in certain players. We needed Jade. We do need cover in that area. It makes sense. I even say to some extent we've let Staniforth go, and obviously there was a little bit of controversy about have we let her go for free and things like that. But we've let one midfielder go when we've brought one in. So and it seems like Lisa were kind of using like you mentioned, the grown-in money to some extent. But it just, for me overall, just to basically sum up, I feel that our recruitment strategy has always been pretty good, but I feel like if we want to get to that next level, to have more people around that are knowledgeable in even certain subtle areas of recruitment would be an important thing, to not stretch Polly across basically doing 3 jobs in one. It is a positive for her and it's a positive for the club. And we're seeing that even just bringing in Polly, for me, there is clearly a better vision of what we're doing in terms of recruitment.
No, definitely. I totally agree. And I suppose I just want to turn it totally now, Ryan, I hope you don't mind, and guys, onto what we were here to talk about. Obviously, I would have liked Rich here, but it is what it is. I've got a few notes on Sunderland. Watching that game at Reading, and apparently Sunderland now are 8th in the Championship. I think they've gone on quite a 3-game unbeaten run.
They're in good form.
They beat Birmingham 3-1, and I saw some of their goals, and it was sort of a bit how like Reading played, pressing, really high pressing them, really strong physical, sort of shoulder barging people off the ball, and they won't give you any time or space. I mean, they were playing at the men's stadium, Birmingham, St Andrews, and they were playing like that. But obviously this is a lot smaller ground. It's going to be 2,000 people. I've heard it's practically sold out. So Reds, if you're coming down, get your tickets, get them now. I wouldn't go and buy on the door, because I think they're going to be all sold out. So, we know it's going to be sort of like on top, hostile. We know Sunderland don't really like us. Men's and women's side, they don't like us. So, they're going to be right up us, trying to, cheering tackles, cheering players pressing, cheering players kicking, or, stuff like that. People were saying before, Reading's pitch isn't that great. I don't think Sunderland's pitch is going to be any better. I was sort of, I've heard that they were targeting Leah's comeback for this game. He's out here saying, oh, this and that. It might be the same team, though. So I don't know. His comments have confused me now. And I mean, maybe it's all mind games. I mean, because we've seen with the Connie Copy as an A team and a B team, and, we discussed why we don't think that's right, how it can lead to burnout. But at least, like, they don't play the cups. But then, obviously, we do want to win the cup, and he wants momentum. But then, he's talked about Estelle might come in, and he said Estelle is more of a midfielder, 6. So will he drop Ladd and Estelle will play, and then, I don't know. How will Leah come in? Will Leah come in for Paris? Will Leah come in for Garcia? These are the things I don't know. What do you think? I mean, Vicky's sort of saying, not sure I'd play Leah. And then Sun Devil saying he'll make 3 or 4, not the 9 or 10. I don't know. What do you think? Talking about Reading Basque Pish can cost us,
Yeah, in terms of, I guess in terms of kind of what Vic said in terms of like Leah. So, I mean, honestly, his comments have really thrown me off from what I like writing the notes. I wrote some notes about this game yesterday for today, and then seeing the press conference, I was like, well, like I wanted to go on a rant about how there will be a lot of rotation, and now is he implying that there's going to be barely any or none at all? I think that I agree in terms of I personally don't want to see Leah, even if she's fit enough to play. I don't know, especially considering the pitch. And like you said, in terms of what I felt about Sunderland, is that they do seem like a physical side again. And what we know about us, including this season, is that if they, even we saw it against Liverpool in the beginning of that second half. Liverpool were quite poor, especially at getting in our faces in that first half. We really just kind of like dog walked that first half. But coming out in the second half, you could tell that Matt Beard had been in all of those players' faces saying, this is a derby, like, what are you playing at? This isn't our standard. Like, you're letting them do what they want. Like, put a tackle in, do something. And they came out, they got in our faces, they pressed, they started being a bit more physical, and all of a sudden we look like 10 times worse trying to play out from the back. And obviously when we looked at if we reflect on the Durham game, going away to a championship against a championship side on a championship pitch, they're getting physical with us. It can really disrupt our rhythm, and that's when we kind of see mistakes / letting in goals / not getting the results. But in terms of Leah, I agree. I personally, it's not I don't want to see her back, but I want to see her be starting most of this season, especially having seen the last two kind of left wing performances from Nikita Paris. I know she's done a job there. I know she's worked hard there, but it's night and day when it comes to seeing Leah on that side. So I want to see her in that left wing position for most of this season. And so for me, I think she should be even in terms of Mannion. Now I don't know in terms of what you're saying about rotation, but in terms of Mannion and Galton, I could see this might be an opportunity, especially if we're leading, got a nice goal buffer coming into the last 15 minutes, let's say. This could be an opportunity for them to get a bit of game time under them, and I would like to see that if that's the case. But I don't know if I would want to risk them on a not necessarily the best pitch against a team that they're not going to beat us by playing pretty possession-based football. Reading weren't going to do that either. So how do you win? Well, it's clear to me that you get at us when you're physical. You give us no time in midfield. You get in our faces and you press us, because that's when we start to see people dawdling on the ball, and all of a sudden then we've lost possession. So I think Sunderland will come out exactly like that against us. So I don't know if I want to necessarily see Leah just coming off the back of an injury in starting in this game, personally.
No, I understand why you're saying that. I'm not. It sounds really weird, like we're on a winning run, we're top of the. I'm not confident, and I think just what you were saying just then, like, how do you get at us? You press us, you do this, you do that. I'm not confident. I don't know, because I do think like we do need to see whether he does it or not. He's saying no, he won't, but I do think we need to see. Maria. I think Tukara will play. Maybe Honor and Hannah will stay, but will he sub? Will it be Mary or will it be Baggers? And I mean, we saw with the Durham game that like when they sit on her, sometimes she's not comfortable. Baggers, Vicky's saying Paris looks better for the middle, and I agree. But then she's saying not a game for Zellum, because we do know that when she can get pressed, But Thomas, I would like to see Thomas actually, because I think she deserves it. I think she's been scoring goals. She's been coming on. When she's come on, she has made an impact. So I think if anyone deserves, for me, it's Thomas the most. So I do think she'll play. But will he play Vilda? Because he said sometimes Vilda isn't physical enough, this and that. But I'm not. After that Reading game, before the Reading game, I'll be like, yeah, bomb, Sunderland, easy. Now, I'm not. I don't know. I mean, what would your team be, Ryan?
Oh, well, I think for me, the person that the one player that I'd like to see, because in my mind, if I'm going into this game, I'm in charge, I get to pick the team. I don't necessarily want to see Leah starting, but in terms of this is a cup game, this is a chance to rotate a few players, I'm all about opportunity. I think certain players in our squad haven't necessarily got as much of a fair opportunity as I think that they've deserved based on performances. So I think on the back of that, I think Nikita hasn't had her most effective games for us the last couple of games. I would like to almost see what Adriana can do at least for an entire half of football on that left wing. Just see what she could do in that position. I think I agree with you about Martha Thomas. I think I can't think of a time she's come on and not at least looked good in terms of even just her pressing and her energy that she brings when she comes off the bench. I think she's had better times when she's come on, and she scored that goal against Liverpool. She really contributed against Arsenal at the Emirates, but there's been other games she's been come on a bit quieter, but she brings energy. I think she absolutely deserves a start. I almost feel like maybe Rachel Williams deserves a start just for that goal, which it's not the best goal, but in saying that, when we signed Williams, I was thinking she'll get a couple Jane Ross type poacher finishes, and for me, that was I was surprised by that goal was that all our players that had an opportunity to shoot like panicked, and she didn't. In that moment, she didn't. In that moment, she actually, from that standpoint, considering the context of the game and all of that, I think almost that warrants Rachel Williams to start in this game. And I think Rachel Williams won't be afraid of a bit of a fight. She won't be too afraid of being manhandled a bit in the box. A centre back trying to get in her face. I'm not saying that Leslie can't handle that, but I definitely think that there are certain types of games like this that I think certain players thrive on. I'd argue that I'd almost play Staniforth instead of Zellin for this game. We don't have Staniforth. She's at Villa now, but I feel like players like Staniforth and Rachel Williams really thrive off these types of games. So I would like to see Rachel there. I thought about Vilda. I would put Vilda in if it was my team. I'd like to see. I think Tooney's looking tired. I know people can say, "Oh, well, we've had a rest already. Like, does she need another one?" But she played at the Euros. She came back, looked a bit off, and then took her time and kind of got back into it again. I just think she doesn't necessarily have to play this. I don't think if we need her for this game, then for me there's something wrong. I think we have a good enough squad to win this game, and for me, if Vilda can't play in this game, when can she play? That's my only concern. I know that they could be a bit physical, but these are the opportunities that she can get to show she's been working harder. She has been getting stronger. She can play in these types of games. You don't give her that opportunity in a game that I understand. Like, I guess it depends on whether he views this cup as something that is a must win, or it could be a hindrance in us getting top three. And whichever way he views it, I think we'll kind of see on Sunday, based on his squad selection, how he feels about this competition. But for me, I don't. I understand. When he takes certain risks, but for me, I don't think Vilda is a risk. I think this is a chance for her to really show herself a bit more. So I think four will definitely play. I think I don't know. I think if it's my team, I'm putting four in, and maybe I almost feel like I might do something similar to what I think he is going to do, which is I think four will be at left back, and I think he'll put Honor for one half and Hannah in the other half. We've seen him do it a couple of times. I think he'll do the same, and that's maybe something that I would actually consider doing too, because I think both of them looked, again, quite tired in the Reading game, or just not kind of on it. So I think four came in against Liverpool, did a good enough job. I like to see four play. I think she can get in too.
Yeah, I like to see Thor play. I mean, people are talking about players looking tired, but I do know a lot of players did have flu, and I know that Tooney had flu. And I just think that people, I don't know, like, oh, they're not tired, this and that. I just think, well, they are, I just, it was shown, Vicky's sort of saying it looks like Jade Moore's gone. We've heard the rumours that she might be either going Spurs or Leicester or alone or permanent. I don't know, but it sort of does make sense, isn't it? The fact that we've brought in like the players that we brought in, I think that she's going to go. I would probably, pick the same as you. Thor, Blundell, like you're saying, I think Tukara will play, whether it's Tukara and Millie or what, I don't know. But it's like you said, isn't it? We don't know how serious he's going to take it. For me, it is a must-win because it's Sunderland. But then I don't want to, risk everything. I'm not saying it's risk. It is what it is. But, obviously for me, Everton is still the more important game, in the league. But I think, like you say, like you were saying about Vilda, should be able to play this game. You know, if you can't play Vilda versus a championship team, even, you know, I think we saw she played against Durham and she was like one of the best players, and they're quite physical as well. So it's not like she can't do it. It's a championship team. I think, you know, and as well, these are part-time. I'm not saying this is no disrespect to them, but, you know, it should be able to win this game no matter who play. Not in, you know, obviously, yeah, we have to be on it. We've seen Reading has caused us problems. That will give Sunderland confidence. They've already got confidence. They've already beaten Birmingham, you know, but we should be able to go there and win. And I am confident that we're gonna go there and win. I don't think it's gonna be like a 5 or 6-0. I think like a 2 or 3. Even if even if they score 1 and we win, you know, 2-1, 3-1, I don't mind, you know. But I think we've got enough to go there and win, and I think we will go there and win.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think we'll win. I just think that in terms we have to be, we can't just go there thinking the game is won. We have to understand that, especially performances like Reading and Durham, like that, like if there is a bit of physicality, we can struggle at times. But my argument is that if we're talking about going strong, and you know we'll see if he goes strong at the weekend. Well, his idea of strong was that starting 11 against Reading, and they found it difficult, and they did perform very well. So for me, it's not a risk to play Vilda, or to me, it's still going strong to play Vilda, to play Adriana. That's just my view of it. Is that it is those are that to me that's personnel that are very able to go away to a championship side and perform. For me, it's, and in terms of, you know, well, I'm not sure if I should play Vilda there. Well, you know, Ella played, you know, against Reading and struggled. So for me, I don't necessarily think, well, I need to have Tooney on there. Well, Tooney didn't, and obviously we know that now. I didn't know about the flu, but you know, Tooney didn't perform against Reading, so I don't understand necessarily why, you know, he wouldn't necessarily play Vilda when, for me, you know, there were plenty of his strongest team that didn't perform on the weekend. So, you know, why would you know, why is it, you know, it almost feels like it could be a difference of standards there, because, you know, Vilda went against Durham. She didn't have the worst game and she scored a goal, you know. So for me, I just think it's not about going weaker. It's about rotate. Again, it's about rotation. And yes, to some extent, you know, on their best days, you know, Ella is our 10. But I think Vilda is good enough to be in that midfield against Sunderland. I don't think it's going weak at all. And well, that's just my view of it anyway.
No, I totally agree, and I just want to say, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. I think I've been having like positive feedback about you, so you can definitely come back on the show. People are dying to have you back
I'd love
anytime.
to.
Yeah, no worries.
Really appreciated you having me on. It's been really good.
No, thank you. You've saved us in a way, because if you, we would have just had. I mean, it's been a really good chat, just talking through things. So I just want to say thank you for people that are listening. Thank you if people tune in later, and obviously thank you, Ryan, for coming on and just, you know, hearing a new voice. I think it's good, and you know, obviously you've got your views. You know, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Different opinions, and my opinion and your opinion not always the same. You've brought things into my head that I didn't have before, and I think that's really key. And I think that's how we all learn. And I think hopefully, you know, whether he does or he doesn't, he listens to this and he thinks, and you know, things like what you said about the Arnold Clark and the international games that these players have. They do end up having a really long season, so burnout is very, very possible. But listen, Karen saying she loved it, Vix loved it, didn't need the other guy. Yeah. We didn't. It would have been nice to hear a bit more about Sunderland, but yeah, I think we're both confident. I mean, I'm sure he would say as well, it's Man United. You know, we should top of the league, top of the WSL. We should be winning at Sunderland. But hey, watch us lose now. No, you're joking. All right, guys. Thank you. Tune in next week's big shows. We've got big shows coming every week. We're gonna try and do. All right, guys. Thanks so much. See you soon.